Well, hi guys, it's that time. It's our Bible teaching snippet of the day. I'm pulled over on the side of the road because I'm back out in the Memphis area today. I had to get my hair cut, and I only do that about once every 3 months. But anyway, so I'm out, and I'm going to pull over and do this real quick because I've got a couple of more meetings to go to while I'm in town. Now, on my last real teaching about did Jesus eat fish, okay, that was on last Friday. And I talked about Luke chapter 24, verse 42 and 43. Now, this is actually the only place in the Bible that records that Jesus supposedly ate fish, that it could be implied that. Now, I pointed out that many translations say that they handed Jesus pieces of or portions of fish and honeycomb. Now, after that teaching, of course, somebody that didn't even watch the video put a thing on my Facebook. This is what people do. They will get on my Facebook page and post all these rebuttals, and they haven't even hit the play button, okay? And the only thing I know to say about that, and I mean this as kindly as I can, I'm not your teacher. It's okay if you don't want to listen to me or agree with me. I'm here just to help people that want to learn and want to grow. And if you're happy with where you're at, it's okay. Now, when I talk about being vegan, not eating meat, not eating milk, eggs, and cheese, or any animal byproducts, guys, I keep telling people this. I'm not condemning or judging anybody. Look, the Bible tells us all things are permissible, but not all things are profitable, okay? You are permitted to eat anything you want, okay? But that does not mean it's healthy for you, okay? So high meat diets give people heart disease, cancer, diabetes, arthritis, Alzheimer's, all kinds of stuff, okay? And if you want to eat meat, it's perfectly okay. You're not going to go to hell. God's not judging you. He's made concessions for fallen man. But there's still a price to pay, and if you're willing to pay that health price and you're sick, you don't feel good, you got inflammation, you got all kinds of digestive problems, you're overweight, whatever that is, whatever you're suffering, and you're okay with going and getting on a bunch of medicines, then so be it. It's okay. I'm just trying to help people find a better way of living so you don't have to be sick, guys. We just don't have to be sick. That's all I'm saying. We don't have to be sick. We don't have to go to the doctors. We don't have to get in that matrix system of sick care. We can just walk in health, and then we don't have to follow all the healing teachers around hoping they can work it in their schedule to lay hands on us because we're walking in health, because we're cooperating with the way that God created the universe, all of creation. He created it a certain way so we would live in peace and in health, right? Genesis 1:29. And but if you want to live in the parts of the Bible where there have been concessions made, then God's okay with that. I'm okay with that. And if you're okay with being sick, it's okay. But here's the thing. Let's not forget that at the consummation of all things, it's very clear the weapons of war, weapons of violence will be beat down into plowshares. That means that the earth will be plowed and more plants will be planted, right? That's what you use a plowshare for. And we see where all of the animals are in peace together. The humans are in peace with each other. Nobody's killing each other or eating meat anymore. It's a place of peace again, okay? And in that scripture that says there will be no killing, no destroying on my holy mountain. And here's a key right here. The earth will be filled with the knowledge of God. Okay, so to me, the closer we get to the knowledge of God, the more we're going to not eat animals, kind of because we're just beginning to understand that God's very best for us is the way He created our bodies to be, and we're vegetarians. Our insides, the way our digestive system is made, we're supposed to eat plant-based diets because that's how our digestive system works best. So let me get back to what I want to talk about real quick today now. But the girl got on and said, well, of course Jesus ate meat and He ate fish too. And then she wants to say the verse about honeycomb is not in all manuscripts. Well, if we're going to throw out the possibility that Jesus ate honeycomb in front of the boys as something that he put in his mouth to prove he was human and resurrected, and if we're going to say, well, not 100% of the millions of different manuscripts, particle pieces of text that they found as far as different translations, if we're going to start picking them apart, hear what I'm saying. If we're going to pick apart, well, that translation, you know, there's 3 translations that don't say honeycomb, so we have to say honeycomb wasn't in the original verses. Well, if we're going to do that, then we've got to go back to the oldest manuscript, the Syriac version of Luke, that doesn't even record the event happening. So we got to throw it out and say that event didn't happen. If we're going to throw honeycomb out, we got to throw the whole verse out based on the same rules of what we're supposed to accept and believe, okay? If you're not going to accept, and they handed him honeycomb because it's not in every version of the Bible, okay, then you have to discard the entire event that happened in Jerusalem, because Jesus himself said, as well as we've got 5 other witnesses, so we got 6 witnesses counting Jesus, that he didn't go to Jerusalem, he went to Galilee. That right there's the reason that I said that, you know, we have to kind of decide, because it doesn't fit. Luke 24:40 through 43, that event does not match the other 6 witnesses. Okay, now when I closed on Friday, I read you some stuff out of the book Food for the Spirit. Now I want to pick up on that today because I was getting close to getting out of time, and I just want to read this to you today. And this is out of the book Food for Spirit, and I have researched all of this. Okay, he writes, most importantly, there is no reference to fish in the earliest New Testament manuscripts. The miracle, now we're talking about the miracle of the multiplication of the bread and supposedly the fish. Okay. There's no reference to fish in the earliest New Testament manuscripts. The miracle is described as bread and fruit. Bread and fruit. Not loaves and fish. It was the later Bible manuscripts after the 4th century that fish was listed instead of fruit. The Codex Sinaiticus is the earliest edition of the New Testament to mention fish as a part of the miracle. And the Codex Sinaiticus is a 4th century set of, if you want to call it manuscripts or text, and that's between 330 and 360, okay? So, the next thing I want to talk to you about, though, okay? Now, I'm going to read a little more from a different book, okay? And this is the book, and I'm not telling you this guy is a Christian. Sometimes we can go to other sources that may not be Christian and learn a lot of things. But I want to just talk to you real quick, if I can, for the rest of my time, about the name of a book called Conscious Eating, okay? All right. And I'm going to just start reading in chapter 18, Jesus and Vegetarianism. And I hope you'll just listen to me, because now I didn't buy this book. I just pulled chapter 18 out because I don't care what the Buddhist and Hindu and all of that do. I just want to know and understand Christian history better. So here we go. It says, whether or not Jesus was a vegetarian is a delicate subject with no definite answer because of the variations in different historical accounts. The Dead Sea Scroll materials unearthed in 1947 indirectly suggest that Jesus was a lifelong vegetarian. This is because they indicate that the Essenes were vegetarian, and historically there is evidence that Jesus was raised in an Essene community. By the way, I'm going to stop there and tell you what he means by that is that the Nazarenes, the people that lived in Nazareth, were descendants of the Essene group of people, okay? They weren't Essenes because the Essene sect were mostly all men, and they were celibate and priests. They did not marry. So we're not talking about the Essenes here, but their offspring from that same Essenes before they became celibate, okay? I hope that made sense. So let me get back to the book. So therefore, it's highly likely that Jesus and his family were vegetarian. The Essene Gospel of Peace, Book 1, taken from the original Aramaic 3rd century manuscript discovered in 1927 in the secret Vatican archives by Dr. Edmond Bordeaux, directly and strongly suggests that Jesus was a lifelong vegetarian. It reveals his direct teachings against the eating of flesh. Nevertheless, as those documents come to surface, there is still lack of definitive proof, as well as confusion about the mistranslations, conscious and unconscious changes made in scriptures as we see them today. This is especially true of the claims of various changes and deletions in the Gospels. He's talking about our Bibles right now, in our Gospels and the epistles, the letters, that all are probably largely that all of these changes occurred at the Council of Nicaea in AD 325. According to the Prophet of the Dead Sea Scrolls by Upton Clary Ewing, a theologian, this is his quote: "There is hardly a single scholar among Bible exegists who will not agree that there are many inconsistencies and contradictions to be found in the 4 Gospels and the epistles." Now, we don't like to hear this because we've been told that there's no contradictions, that it all agrees, that our Bible is infallible, inerrant, and it's never been changed, and it's whatever. But guys, how can you have all these different Bible translations and they say different things, like the loaves and the fruit, or the bread and the fruit, versus the loaves and the fish? There are variances, okay? Now here I'm going to read to you in the Hebrew Gospel of Matthew. It's called Hebrew Matthew. Here we go. "And when Jesus had taken the 6 loaves and the 7 clusters of grapes, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke the loaves and the grapes also. He gave them to his disciples and set before them, that they divided them among all. And they did all eat and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of fragments that were left. And they did eat of the loaves, and the fruits were about 5,000 men, women, and children." Okay, so there's where you see the fruit. And this is a very, very old Aramaic, Syriac Aramaic manuscript that he is quoting right there. Let me see, I got a few more. Okay, and I want to go back to that Passover meal real quick. Watch this. This is in the Hebrew Matthew as well. Are you ready? And this is where Judas has gone to sell Jesus out the night that they arrested him. He leaves the Passover meal and he goes to turn Jesus in so they can come and arrest him. Now, listen to this. "Now, Judas Iscariot had gone to the house of Caiaphas and said unto him," talking to Caiaphas, "Behold, Jesus has celebrated the Passover within the gates of Jerusalem with the masa, the bread, in place of the lamb. I indeed bought a lamb, but he forbade that it would be killed. And lo, the man of whom I brought with me is a witness to this." So according to the Hebrew Matthew, part of Judas going to tell on Jesus after their Seder meal together, this would have incited these high priests who believed in animal sacrifices, that Jesus, this teacher of the Jews, would take it upon himself to hold a Passover meal, their annual celebration meal, and not teach people to eat a dead lamb. And so that was when they went out to get Jesus. I just wanted to share that with you guys. You know, right now my library of studying was Jesus a Vegetarian. I have grown that library up to about 20 books by now. And I'm telling you, many of you may want to reject these teachings, and that's okay, you can. But here's where I want to go real quick with my last few minutes here on Facebook today. What I want people to come away with is, please don't use Christianity as your Bill of Rights or make it okay to eat animals, because the Bible, the way it's written right now, your Bible, 66 Book American Bibles, teach it both ways, and you can take it whichever one benefits or suits your situation the best. What I am saying is, in the beginning, Genesis 1:29, God said for us to eat plants. In the end, we're going to be all plant eaters again, okay? So I'm going to hop off here. I love you, and I will see you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.